Hey there, and welcome back to the Board Game Sherpa channel, the channel whose goal is to take the fear out of learning new board games and put the fun back in. This past weekend, my buddy Eric and I made the drive from New Jersey to Indianapolis and back to experience GenCon 2023, one of the biggest board game conventions in the world, certainly in the United States. This is my 5th GenCon, but it's my first time going as the Board Game Sherpa, so it's hard to separate the board game fanboy in me from the hard-hitting journalist you see in front of you. Okay, even I couldn't do that with a straight face. I had a great time at GenCon 2023. I saw friends, found and played new games, saw some panels, hit the Indy 500 Speedway, and I met quite a few of you guys there on the show floor. So now it's time to do the official Board Game Sherpa GenCon 2023 wrap-up. First off, I'd like to thank No Facebook Eric for being one of the most hashtag considerate roommates ever. We've shared a room for a convention before, but that was only one night. This was 4 nights at GenCon, which was also Eric's first GenCon, and that could really test a friendship. But happily, everything went fine, and I think it made us closer. At the very least, now we can appreciate what poor Mrs. Board Game Sherpa has to put up with on a daily basis. I tried to do this all in one video, but I had too many things on both sides, good and bad, so I split the wrap-up into 2 distinct videos. The first will be the top 10 good things about GenCon 2023. Damn, I enjoyed doing that voice. In the next couple of days, I will be putting up the top 10 bad things about GenCon 2023 video, so subscribe to see it as soon as it comes out, or there'll be a link in the description if you're watching this in the future. Either way, please subscribe to the channel. Off we go to the top 10 good things. Number 1, meeting you guys. If you're one of those that recognize me at GenCon from my videos, just know that you really made my GenCon great. By letting me know that you enjoyed my videos and that they actually helped you, that's an incredible incentive for me to keep doing these videos, and believe me, I appreciate that a lot. And I can't wait for the next local board game event, which I think is PAX Unplugged in December. Number 2, going to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. If you watched my 25 essential tips for first-time GenCon attendees video, you know I couldn't say enough things about the Dallara Racing Factory Museum when we went there a few years back. It's a specific brand of Indy car, and we found it accidentally driving near the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We were looking for photo ops. After finding Dallara, my wife and I actually got into watching IndyCar racing after that visit. So I went back there to show Eric this cool place, and we accidentally found the official Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. It's been around for decades, and I don't know how we missed it last time, but it takes the great experience of the Dallara Racing Factory and multiplies it by 100. It has so many historic Indy cars and other official stuff, like old tickets, trophies, racing suits. You actually get to ride a tour bus on the Indy racetrack and get to stand on the bricks of the finish line. I know this isn't board game related, but it's one of the coolest things to do when you're in Indianapolis. There's also a lot of nice restaurants in the Speedway area if you're not staying in the downtown area and don't want to worry about driving over there again and figuring out parking. But back to GenCon specific stuff. Number 3, opening day exhibit hall. My friends think there's something wrong with me, but on the years I didn't go to GenCon, the thing I missed most was being on that platform above the crowds waiting to get into the exhibit room and filming the opening moment where the doors are opened. Seeing that rush of humanity through a relatively small doorway is just so satisfying, and filming it to be sped up later is just a cherry on top. Don't judge me. Number 4, games, games, games. One of the best things about GenCon is that many games get released and announced at the show. I'm going to go broke with all the great games that have either come out of the show or will be coming out in the next month or so. I bought a lot of pre-orders and current games at GenCon and right before the show. But I am looking forward to playing all these new games, like After Us and the Fox Experiment from Pandasaurus, Sky Teams from La Scorpion Mask, Lock Up, Tenpenny Arcade, Stone Spine Architects, and Dawn of Ulos from Thunderworks games, and all the expansions for the Thunder Road Vendetta from Restorations games. I can't wait to get these on the table. Number 5. Flying Frog Productions. Flying Frog Productions has a series of games called Shadows of Brimstone, and my personal board game Sherpa, Johnny Rocks, loves this game, like a lot. I've never played the game before, as it seems more complicated than I'm used to, and I don't want to let him down if I don't like it. Johnny couldn't make it to GenCon this year, but he really wanted to answer the questions about the game. So he asked me to ask the Flying Frog guys, so I did. Randomly, I went up to the first employee who became free and told him about Johnny's love of the game and his questions. Not only did the employee answer the questions, but he came up with the idea to shoot a video teasing Johnny for not being there.
Hey Johnny, we heard you can't make it to the booth. What's the deal, man? You're sending your friends, you're making them come and do all the work for you? You gotta show up one of these days. Anyway, you got a good buddy here because he's gonna pick you up what you're missing.
And maybe we'll see you next time.
Slowly I realized this random employee I chose was Scott Hill, the freaking co-owner of Flying Frog with his brother Jason. Scott also helped me with some cool stuff that I can't really talk about right now because it's a surprise for Johnny Rocks when I see him. Speaking of, Johnny and I talked after I sent him the CEO's video to him, and we agreed to do a Board Game Sherpa video in the near future of my own personal Board Game Sherpa, Johnny Rocks, teaching me how to play Shadows of Brimstone, because now I really want to play it. Subscribe to be notified when that video comes out. I may not be a fan of Flying Frog's Shadows of Brimstone yet, but their above and beyond customer service made me a huge fan of Flying Frog the company. You'll see in my 10 bad things at GenCon 2023 that there's another completely separate company where I love the game, but I just stopped being a big fan of the company that put the game out. But know that it is not Flying Frog Productions at all. They are super tremendous awesome, and I don't use that phrase very often. Number 6, Lucas Oil Stadium, Pinball Alley, and the Block Party. I've been going to Gen Con since 2014, and I have never been into Lucas Oil Stadium for any of the Gen Con activities. I heard the events were on the field, but it's always midsummer for Gen Con, which also means it's hot. But my buddy Tank was playing in the Star Wars Destiny tournament there, and I really wanted to see him at Gen Con, so off we went. We walked over to the stadium and came across Pinball Alley, which was really cool, and I wish I'd stopped to play a few games, but we were on a mission. Next year we're going to be there. Then we got to the Block Party area. I never liked the food truck setup in the years past because there was nowhere to sit and enjoy the food. This year, they had a huge area to chill and just listen to music and enjoy the food. Hopefully they keep this for next year. We crossed the street from the Block Party to the stadium, and when we went in, wow, it was amazing. The whole huge stadium was being used for tournaments and other stuff, and everything was on the field. But the stadium had a dome which closed, so it was nice and air conditioned in there. Even more cooler than a convention center, and it had tons of seating. There's something really cool about sitting on the 50-yard line in air conditioning where the Indianapolis Colts play football the rest of the year. This one is going in my video for Essential Tips for GenCon 2024 video. I've missed this cool experience for years, but not anymore. Number 7, the Dice Tower, folks. Every board game event I go to, one of my quests is to get selfies with all the on-air cast of the Dice Tower. It's like Pokemon where you gotta get them all. Last year's Gen Con was easy. I went to the panel and they all posed for a big group picture with me after the show. This year was tougher. I had tickets to the award show, but I had a last minute conflict and couldn't make it. But I got most of them throughout the show. I had nice conversations with Chris Yee and Roy Kennedy this year, and I'm really happy that Roy's new game, Last Light, sold out minutes after going on sale at Gen Con. The bad part was that I wasn't able to snag a copy, but soon enough it'll be available in retail. Number 8, meeting the Board Game Garden YouTuber. One of my favorite board game channels is the Board Game Garden. It's such a friendly channel hosted by a chill Canadian named Jenna. She starts a video with "Hello friends" and talks about whatever topic she's discussing calmly and makes it interesting. She was going to be at the Third World Studios booth during the day, and I planned to hit there anyway since I'm a fan of the game The Stuff of Legend, which my artist buddy Charles Paul Wilson did the illustrations for. I recently interviewed him about it for my channel. The link is in the description. Anywho, I saw Jenna and I introduced myself, and she is as friendly in person as her on-screen personality is. She even threw in a boot in our conversation, proving she was indeed a Canadian. Seriously, check out our channel, which I'll put in the description. Number 9, the No-Tel Microtel, aka the Microtel Inn and Suites, Indianapolis Airport. I've been to Gen Con 5 times in the last 9 years, and every time I've booked the good old No-Tel Microtel by the airport. And it's never let us down. It's a reasonably priced hotel that is clean, bed-bug free, and safe. Unlike a certain Motel 6 nearby, where my friend left in the middle of the first night last year and slept in his car instead. But back to the Microtel. One of the extra cool things about the No-Tel Microtel is that they let us use the conference rooms after hours to play the board games we bought at Gen Con. Some years you really meet cool travelers who will join in your games and even let you join in their games. This year there were college kids in the room doing their own games thing, but we shared the room peacefully and played our new games without any issues. For those wondering, we learned how to play Sky Teams and Ragnaroks while there. Both excellent games, and you'll see them in a future video, I'm sure. Number 10. The Gen Con community is serious about being inclusive. I know a lot of companies say they're inclusive to get the good PR that comes with it, but Gen Con is serious about it. People from every walk of life were in Gen Con and seem to be having a great time playing games and participating in the various activities without hassle. I know I'm generalizing, and statistically there probably weren't incidents, but in talking to attendees, everyone was free to be who they were in the show. And it gave me hope that the board game community was doing their part to make the world better. And that's why Gen Con is such a special place. Well, that's my top 10 list of all the good things that I encountered at Gen Con 2023. I hope you found it helpful and or entertaining. Make sure to subscribe so you can be notified when the top 10 list of all the bad things comes out in a few days. So, what were your favorite things about this year's Gen Con? Who are some vendors that made your con better? I'd love to hear your experiences, so type them in the comments. If you like this video, please subscribe and give the video a big thumbs up. It really does help me out and helps get more potential board gamers into the hobby, which will help you when you're looking for someone to play games with. Deal? Alright, see you next episode.